All right, Tanmay, thanks for putting this together. Let's quickly go through it. I'm not going to go read each and every one. What is Git and its advantage? We had talked about it. We'll see it again. What is a repository in Git? Okay, what is head in Git and how many heads can create it? All right, what is the use of git config command? How to change any older commits message? What exactly is the forking workflow? How can conflict in Git be resolved? What exactly is Git cherry pick? What is the difference between Git pull, fetch, and merge? What is the functionality of Git ls tree? How is a bare repository different from the standard way of initializing? Okay. What is Git stash? What exactly is tagging in Git? What does the Git reset mixed Git merge abort commands do? Okay, what is Git bisect and how do you use it? All right, good. I think these are good questions. Since we've not done completely everything that we need to know about Git, we'll come back to this questionnaire, okay? I'm going to save this up somewhere where we can go to next. Uh, do, 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 do. All right. Okay. What was the assignment last time? I know this was one. Was there any more assignments last time? Tanmay, do you remember?
Just going through the video and like the recording session and understanding it, and also like coming back with the questions.
Okay. And there was one for this Git book,
Gitbook, yeah. Git init
right?
command.
So I would want you to download this PDF, all of you, if you can. This is the link. And I would not have so much energy to go through the whole book because it's a lot of information in there. But I want to quickly take you through the flow just to show you the fundamental concepts that you need to know to understand Git well. Okay. But before I go there, I want to draw something real quick. I know last time we started and I wanted to get to the common ground to understand where you guys belong. And I think we started in a place where not everybody would have understood everything. Okay. So I want to quickly show you something. Does everybody understand you remember at the start of the session, I started with a single file managing myself and eventually showing you that managing the history of that is very, very difficult unless you copy that into multiple folders by timestamped. It's very difficult to get to history. And then when somebody starts collaborating along with you, it becomes even more difficult. Do you guys have any question with that? Because that is layman, right? That has nothing to do with Git. Is everybody clear with that?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay, good. And the next thing that I showed was the git init hyphen bear, right? I want to quickly talk about it because if I was in your shoe and if somebody would show me that concept, I would really get confused. So if you got confused, it's not just you. Even if I would have seen that for the first time, I would have got confused. So I'm going to really draw something quick for you and show you, okay? There was a time, and again, I'm going to keep telling you stories because many a times, right, in teaching, people remember stories better than concepts. So take my stories as stories, try to enjoy them, okay, and in that process, learn something. I will not take you too far like the way I did last time. I'll take you just a couple of years back. There was this very famous version control tool called SVN. If you guys have heard about it, great. If you've not heard about it, it was also called Subversion. All right. And in Subversion, what we used to do as developers sitting over here, and assume this is a developer sitting over here, the developer will check out. Today, what we do as clone, right? They used to do checkout. They used to then do lock on a file. Lock a file means anybody else who has checked out, he will not be able to commit change to that file unless and until this guy releases that lock. Okay, so it's like lock a file, don't allow anybody to commit anything. And then this guy would check in. And release the lock. Okay. And then they also would be able to, there used to be a main branch called trunk. There used to be branches. And there used to be tags. Again, this is just a story, okay? There's nothing for you to note down anything or by heart anything. This is just so that you understand the complexity of the world that we used to live in. And with Git, it became so much simplified. So if you think learning Git is difficult, you should know it was much more difficult earlier. That's the reason why I'm showing you this story real quick. Okay. And each of these guys would have to either check out trunk, check out any branch in the branches directory, or check out any tags inside tags directory. We will talk about what trunk, branch, and tags is when it comes to Git, not over here. Okay. And then as I told you, they used to check out whole repository, either trunk, branches, or tags, not everything. Okay. And they would eventually check in and release the lock. All right. There would be a guy sitting over here. He would also do the same thing. There would be somebody over here. He'll also do the same thing. Now, if you really look at it, all over the world, right? People are coming over here. What does this indicate to you? This should indicate to you that this is a centralized version control system, right? You guys with me? You understanding the story so far?
Yes.
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 So there's a centralized version control system because all of these guys are committing their changes over here at the single place. Okay. There are advantages and disadvantages of this model. Let's not talk about advantages for now because we are a supporter of Git. Let's talk about disadvantages. For these guys to be able to work on this code, they have to be connected to this internet. If they are locked out of this internet, they cannot really push any changes over here. That means they can only work on one single file at any given time. They cannot. I will tell you again, this is a complex problem to understand, but the whole concept of adding, committing, and pushing, you'll appreciate it when you really know this problem. Now, the biggest problem with this approach was for any reason, if this guy would break, if this guy would get corrupted, everybody else over here, all the developers are impacted because this is gone. If somebody would do a bad commit, everybody else is impacted. You guys understand up to here, this story?
Yes.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Now, we go to the new world. So Linus Torvald, the one who introduced Linux operating system, came up with this Git. I mean, you can go back to the history and try to read about history if you're interested, but I'm not here to spend time telling you history, right? My whole idea is to connect those dots so that you're able to learn better. That's the whole idea, what I have. Okay, so I will not go into the history of who developed it, when it was developed, what problems did he have to develop it, so on and so forth. I'll not talk about it. But what I'll talk about right now over here is when you look at Git, from last session, I clearly showed you that your repository doesn't always have to be GitHub.
Yes.
I showed you that you as a developer sitting over here could initialize a bare repository and make your system, your computer, as the server, and everybody can come to you and clone from your machine if they wanted to. That's possible. Okay, but just for convenience, what we have done is we have called GitHub. So there are three partners over here in this game. Okay, GitHub, GitLab, and Bitbucket. There are just three. If there are more, I might not know them because they are not as famous as this. Okay. So if somebody talks about and says, hey, you know GitHub or GitLab or Bitbucket, they're talking about the same problem. They're talking about a Git server, a Git repository that is hosted on a server. Make sense?
Yes.
Then I will eventually tell you what are the flavors that each one of them offer, right? I mean, in the end, all of them are solving the same problem, but they're adding some flavors on top of it, some features on top of it. As I said in the chat, you don't have to know each and every decoration that you add on top of that core ice cream. What you need to know is it's vanilla under the hood. People might add cherries, people might add pecan, people might add almonds, pistachio, whatever they want to add, they can add. Those are features. But under the hood, it's still vanilla. You can flavor it with chocolate, strawberry, whatever it is. Okay. That's the same thing when you try to read or understand a technology. You want to understand what problem that technology is really solving. Okay. Let's get back to the topic now. So we have GitHub. We'll leave the both out for now. Let's just go with GitHub. And GitHub allows you to create a repository. What is this repository called? It can be called origin. It can be called remote repo, whatever you like. Usually people call it origin in the world of Git. So they don't call it a remote repo because as soon as you call remote repo, it becomes like a centralized system to tell you that, hey, even your repository over here could have been the origin for somebody else in the future. Okay, we'll come to that. Now, on Git, if you create a repository, in the normal world, what people usually do is they create a repository over here, and each developer, what does he do? He clones the repository to start with. He clones repository. And when you clone repository, there are two ways you can clone repositories: HTTPS way and tell me what is the other one?
SSH.
SSH way. Okay. After you clone the repository, what do? You do add, then you do commit,
And then push.
and then you do push. Now, these three things are so important thing because when I started learning Git, I was always thinking, why are we doing add and why are we doing commit and why are we doing push? Why don't we just commit and push directly? Why do we have to do add, right? I asked this question, I Googled for it. You also Googled for it, okay? And try to get an answer and tell me if you get a more elegant answer so that I can, if I'm teaching anybody else in the future, I can teach them in a better way, okay? But I will try to tell you what this answer is by going to this book. Let's go to the book. I'm going to delete these things, okay? Which were from the past. Let's open this book. And I want you guys to really spend some time with this book. It's a good book. It's a lengthy book. You don't have to know everything. Get over here, okay? But it'll always be better if you know something. Where is this thing to minimize this guy? Anybody sees? Oh, here it is. You guys are able to read it now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's go through quickly, okay, to the important concept. I'll show you one important concept over here. You can ignore all this. You can go through it, okay? Read through it real quick later, and he has also talked about history, how it got created, which, you know, I'm not going to bother with that for now. But what I want to talk about is this over here. Right. Working area, staging area, okay, and your remote repository, basically. So what is working area, staging area, and remote repository is what we will see today, okay? So again, I will go in and Who's this guy? Make it bash over here. Where are you, Git bash? Okay. What I will do is I will create a remote repository. Okay, and that remote repository, I'll call it as my awesome repository. Okay. So git init. Before that, let's make dir my awesome remote repo, or my awesome remote. So let's say that. Okay. And I would call to git init. Okay. If I go inside, I have everything that I need. You guys are with me so far? So I've created, imagine that this I have created in GitHub now. Okay. Since I don't want to have a dependency on GitHub for you so that you can play around in your own local world, that is why I'm doing this thing. I could have easily gone to GitHub and created a repository, but I don't want to do that. Okay. Intentfully. Now, if I go back over here, what I will do is git clone file :// and it's difficult to copy sometimes.
A small doubt, Mr. Samir.
Yeah.
So now that we are not using GitHub to create a repository and stuff, in the future, are we going to do like create a repository in this way, or
No, no, no. This is
just
not the way. This is just a way for you to understand Git better. This is not the way it will work. We'll always be creating repository either in GitHub, Bitbucket, or GitLab.
oh,
Okay. This is just so that you don't have to worry about GitHub to start with. We'll graduate it to GitHub eventually. And I will give it a name as my awesome repo. Let's call it as local. And I'll call it as local 01 because I can create more if I wanted to. So now we have this repository created over here. Okay. I will go inside it. And if the first thing what I can do, here are a couple of commands that I can show you. You already know git status and all that, but we'll see it again. But you can always look at what is the git branch. Here it clearly shows, but if you were on a command prompt, like a command line, Windows command line, you would not see it. And if you wanted to see it, you can say git branch. I don't know why it is not showing master, but it is supposed to show master with a star next to it, which is fine. Let's play around and get this concept cleared first, okay? Before we go to anything else. What is working directory? What is staging directory? And what is remote directory? Let's play with very simple thing. I will open up code dot over here so that I have VS Code. I'm assuming all of you have installed VS Code. And I don't have any file over here. Okay, I'm going to create my first file. I'll give it a name, first.txt. And I'll say, I am learning Git, and save it. Okay. Pay very, very close attention to it. Okay. If you were dreaming, get up from your dream and pay very special attention over here, what I'm doing, because I would not want to repeat this whole thing. You might have to go and watch the session again. Okay. What I did was I created a remote repository. I cloned that remote repository, and I'm inside the clone repository to help you learn this concept. Okay. So inside this repository, I have created a file called first.txt. If I do a git status, it should show me there's an untracked file because Git doesn't know anything about any files as yet, right? This is the first file that I've added. If I do git status, it'll come back and tell me there's an untracked file. Untracked files are files that are not monitored or managed by Git as yet, but it knows that it is there because you've created in its file system. It says, I'm not tracking this file, but I can see this file. Any questions over here? No,
No.
right?
No.
This is your working directory. Wherever you're seeing this file as untracked file is your working directory. Okay. As soon as I do git add dot, I'll be adding it to the staging directory. Okay. Now, if I do git status, it says it has been staged, right? This is staged file. This is in stage. Now I want to show you something really quick. I've done a git add. Okay. And now if I go and make a file, make a change to this file, this is my second change to this file. Save. Now is the fun piece, which many people do not understand to, realize that this is there. Now, if I say clear and I do a git status, just notice what it will say. It says new file has been staged, right? This is staged. Changes to be committed. It's in staged area. It also says this file has been modified. Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
It is staged and it is also modified. If I do a commit at this moment, what will happen to take it from staged area to a commit area? Okay, pay very, very attention over here. -m, and I'll say, I'll just update it for now. You never want to commit message like this. You want to write some good messages, but since this is a demo, it's fine. If I do a git commit -m, this, and now if I say git status, see that file has been committed, but this change that I'm doing, it is still in my working area. What does it tell you? It tells you that if I'm working on a code and I have, let's say, 2 functions to work on, and one function I'm completely baked and I'm done, and I'm just starting to work on a second function, but I don't want to avoid committing that change while I'm working on the second function. What I can do is I can take my changes and put it in the staging area, just with the hope that if I'm not able to finish up the second function, I would still be able to commit and push the change that I've already staged. Do you guys understand here? If you were in front of me, probably I would be able to demonstrate it well, but I want you to really digest this fact. How just one file can be staged. And what I will do now is I will try to see in my log. Git log basically tells you what are the different commits what you have. How many commits have I done since the time I started working on this?
1.
Just one, right? So you see this? This is the commit. And in this commit, I want to see what is the change. I can copy this change from here and I can say git show. There you go. What is in there? I'm learning git. This is my second change to this file is not there. Okay. So if I do a git push from here, which change will go to the remote?
The second line.
No, the first change.
Only the
First
first
one.
change.
The first.
Okay. So now let me clear this one over here. What did we talk about? We talked about work area. We talked about staging area. We talked about
Remote.
commit area. And then you have your remote. So work area, staging area, commit, and remote. The transition from work area to here is done using add. Good. From staging to commit happens using
Clone.
commit.
So,
No. And from commit to remote happens using
Push.
push. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Good. Now let's do something a little more interesting. So I will not push this change, or let's say push it. So it has gone to the remote. So anybody else who clones my awesome remote repository, they will get this change, just this change. I am learning Git change. Do you want me to prove it, or do you trust me?
We trust you.
Okay, good. Now
No.
let's
Can
let's
you just
do,
do it, Mr. Shamir?
yeah,
Can you please do it? I just want to see it. I mean, I do trust
yeah,
you, but
sure. You don't trust me. Is that Kushi?
yes.
Okay, let's go back to the git clone command over here. This one, right? And I would say 02. So this is 01, okay? This is Samir, where I'm making a change. Now there's a 02 user who's coming in and cloning from that remote repository from GitHub. Let's say this is GitHub repository. It's cloning. And when they clone it inside here, the only change that they should see is I'm learning Git, nothing else. Okay. Now let's go ahead and do something more fancy. I'm coming back to, so I will come here so that you don't get confused where I go. So over here, this is my local 01. Okay. If I do git status, I still have a modified file. You remember, this is another thing to note. There's a tracked, modified, and a tracked unmodified file. And there's an untracked file. Okay. So right now what we have is you have a tracked this file first.txt. It says I know about it, and you have modified it. What is the modification? If I want to see, I can say git status. Show me. So git status will tell me there's a change to this file, to this particular file. Okay. It says you can do a git add to add or git restore to discard changes in working directory. If you want to just discard changes. I don't want to discard it. I want to proceed it. We will come to the discarding flow eventually. Okay. If I want to really get rid of it, I can say git clean minus FD. As usual, when you go through my sessions later, please make a note of all of these commands because you'll have to practice these commands. So there's a change I have done to this file. I don't want to type this again, so I'll copy this and keep it with me. But if I run a git clean minus FD, nothing will happen actually, to be very frank. See, it didn't do anything because this is a file that is tracked by the system. So what I could do is, let's try to do git restore. I have never ever used this command. I use a different command. I'll show you that command also. Git restore and say first.txt. So that change is gone, whatever change I added. I will add that again over here. But before that, let's do git status to make sure there is no change. See, there is no change. The origin and this local matches. But I'll go ahead and add this again. And I'll do a git status. It shows modified. You saw git restore command earlier, right? I usually use git checkout --. You can say the file name or you can put a dot. So if you only want to do file name, that's it. It's gone. Okay. You can do git checkout or git restore. And again, these are features, these are flavors on top of the core concept. So don't worry about this flavors yet. As you use command more often, you'll understand this. Okay. But I'm going to hold on over here. I'm going to make this last change over here and show you one more concept which you need to remember is if I do a git status, if I do a git add dot, when I do add dot, it goes to the staging area, correct? If I do git status, it'll show me in green color over here. If by mistake, I put it in staging area, okay? But before that, I will add one more line over here. This is my third change. And when I do git status, it will show me two. One is I've already staged, and the other one it will show as modified. Okay. If earlier on I showed you if I wanted to just commit and push what I have already staged, I can do that because of this nature. I have already moved it here. I can commit from here to here. From here, I can push. So anything that's in my work area remains in my work area. But if I'm happy with this change, so I like this change I've already staged. This function I have already staged. I want to commit this line also. I can just do git add again. When I do this and when I say git status, I will not see this 2 times. I will just say that it's modified. There you go. So understand this concept very well. As a developer, you might want to write a function 1 and you're happy, you'll say add. Then you'll come and write another function. You're happy, you'll say add. You'll write the third function. You're happy, you'll add. And you're not working on only one file. You might be working on 10 different files. So you might keep adding 1 file, 2 file, 3 file, 4 file. And once you're happy with the number of files that you've added, and that is what I'm going to show you. But before I go to that, that's a complex concept. I want you to understand this simple concept that I've shown you up until now. Is everybody sure and you're 100% sure about what I've explained you so far?
Yes.
Good. Now let's go ahead and do something realistic, right? In the real world, you just don't have one file. I'll add a second file. Okay. Test function, let's say. Save it. I will add one more file. Save. When I do a git status, can you predict what will happen? Earlier on, it was showing 1 modified, and it will show 2 untracked files now, right?
Yeah.
So I'm working on this. You're also happy with the third file right now, let's say, but you still want to continue working on the second file. What you could do is, you could do a git add. Third is
Second.txt.
Third.txt.
Third.txt. Third.txt, right? Because I'm done with my work on third. So now if I do a git status, there is first.txt and third.txt in the stage area. If I do a commit now, how many files will get committed?
2.
And then if I push, how many files will get pushed?
2.
2.
Good. So now comes a fundamental concept called snapshot in the world of Git. Git never works on file. Git never works on file. Git works on a snapshot. What does that mean to you? What it means is once you have staged 1 or more files, and as soon as you do a commit, so before that, let me clear the screen and show you a good picture. So git status, pay close attention to this again, okay? I'm going to do a git commit, but before that, let me show you git log. There's only one commit I've done up until now, right?
Yes.
I will do a git commit -m. Okay, see what it has done over here, okay, this number. Pay attention to this. One F, this one, this number, not this number, this number, okay, and this number. This was my original one, if you notice it, updated here. See that, right? And this one is the second commit that I did. This is called a SHA or a hash or a snapshot in the world of Git. This snapshot is not one file. This is not one file. Come on. This is a commit hash. If I say a git show, it shows me all the changes which are in there. And if I want to just show name only, it'll show me which are the 2 files that have changed. Are you guys with me so far?
Yes.
So If you understand this concept, staging, commit, remote, and you understand the concept of snapshots. Snapshot is like taking a picture. Imagine you have a camera in your hand. Somebody is taking something from staging area and putting it up in the commit area. You take a picture and you sign that picture and you imprint the picture with your fingerprints. And then next time somebody comes in, you take that out and you see exactly what was there in the picture. Correct? So that's exactly is happening. So think of it as a spy movie or something like that. You know what Git is trying to do. This is the immutable change. This change, this commit SHA is immutable. You cannot really go break it. Given two files at any given time, if you run a SHA program, I mean, people who are developers, they run a SHA program, they can generate this same SHA from those two files. As soon as you make a small change to this file and try to generate a SHA, the SHA will be completely different. It's a universally unique ID, if that makes sense to you. And now when you go through this book, he would be talking about the same thing over here. It's talking about snapshots and all that over here. So when you start reading through it, you because of the fact that I've explained you some things, you'll understand this better now. Okay? I'll hold on here for a second and I'll let you guys ask any questions if you've not understood something so far. Nothing?
So I have a question.
Okay, who is this?
Ritvik.
Yeah, Ritvik, tell me.
So what if we stage the things, like we stage everything and do not commit the things and try to push everything?
You will not be able to push anything.
Okay.
Before you ask that question, you should. I know, Ritvik, it's a very good question, okay? Don't take me wrong.
Yeah.
If you understand this 4 blocks very well, your question is not valid.
Got
Because
it.
if anything is in staging, you can never push. You see, push is over here and commit is over here.
So it has
If
to pass everything.
you have to take those files through all these blocks. If you are in work area, you can only do add to bring it in staging. If you are in whatever is in staging, if you do commit, it will take from staging, put it in commit area. Whatever is then is commit, when you do a push, it takes that commit hash and pushes it over here. How many commits can you do? That's a good question. That would have been a good question. Okay. So now what I've done is I have not pushed, right? I have not pushed this change, the second change. Like if I do a git status, sorry, not status, git log. Over here, I have not pushed this change yet. So if I really go back over here, and if I go to that second guy, open up my git bash over here and do a git pull. And if I do ls minus lrt, there's only one file. You see this first.txt. The third file is not there. And the first.txt still has that one line. It doesn't have 2 lines that I have added in there. Okay, because in this other developer's machine, he has committed it, but he has not pushed it yet. Okay.
Got it.
I will do one more thing now. I will do git status over here. Now I have second.txt. I will do a git add dot, the question that you asked, right? You were asking about keeping everything in your stage area and then doing a push.
Yeah.
If I do a push now, only this commit, the commit on top will get pushed. This change will not get pushed because this change is still here. And the only commit which is here is this one. Only this will get pushed. I will prove it to you. If I do a git push from here, and if I go to this other guy and do a git pull, you see first is come, third is come. And if I do a git log, you'll see that first commit is here, second commit is here. The third one, which is that second.txt file, is not going to be here. Is it there? Not there, right?
Yeah, it's not there.
Good. Now let's go back over here. So I'm in a staged area now. I'm going to add one more file over here.
Samir, I have like one question.
Go ahead.
So now, so we have done the second commit, but before pushing, we have done the third commit also. But
No,
in
we
the
didn't do a
third
third
commit,
commit.
no,
We only
no,
did third
only
add.
yeah.
We only
If
did
we
add.
do a third commit,
Yeah, that's where we are
and
coming now.
oh, okay,
That's where we are coming now. So we have, if I do a git status now, shit. If we do a git status now, we have this one and this one, right? So instead of adding this and then doing a single commit, I will do two commits. Okay. First commit I will do.
yeah, second.txt.
Okay. So if I do a git log, I should have three commits over here.
Yeah,
First commit, second commit, and third commit. And remember, the other user only has two commits with him.
yeah,
Okay. He doesn't have this commit yet. And I'll also do, I want to add, I want to commit, right?
yeah.
So
Git
I
fork.
will show you one command which nobody would probably show you is I will do a git add dot, and I can join it with git commit -m 4.txt edit. Now if I see a git log, you'd see 4 commits, right?
Okay, yeah.
This commit and this commit is not gone to the user yet, not gone to this guy yet. If I do a git pull, clear, and if I do a git log over here as a second user, he has only 2 commits. He
Yes.
doesn't have this commit because this developer is still working on it.
Yeah.
This developer can do as many commits as he want. This is where you have to understand the distributed nature of Git. Git is distributed version control system. It's not a centralized version control system. What that means is if you are disconnected from your origin for whatever reason, for the reason of war, for the reason of internet going down intermittently, or for the reason that you're traveling and you do not have connection to internet, you can continue to work on it as if the remote server is sitting on your machine. You can keep committing as many times as you want all the work that you are done with. And as soon as you're connected to the internet, the only command that you have to use is git push.
Yeah.
Okay, that is the distributed nature of Git. And the second aspect, which I've already shown you, is anybody can take this repository from your machine. They can clone from your machine if they wanted to. Okay, give me 1 second, guys. All right. So now if I do a git push, give me a second. If I do a git push, what are you guys expecting?
Yeah, that's what my question is. Like, it will push only the latest commit or the 2 commits? Like,
It'll push all the commits, not only 2 commits. If I also do a 5th commit over here, and if I do a git add dot, now I'll have 3 commits on top, right?
yeah.
So 1, 2, 3. 2 are already pushed. These 3 are left. It'll push everything what is there in the commit area. And how I can prove it? I can go over here. He had only 2 commits left. Do a git pull and then do a git log. He has everything here. How do I increase this guy? Shoot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay.
Got it.
And all the files are over here. So both of them are in sync. If I do a git status over here, it'll tell it's in sync. Okay. I think we covered up quite a lot. I can keep going, keep drilling in. There's a lot more to look at Git, but I want to stop here for a second and give you an opportunity to ask questions, because if you ask questions, you'll understand better. No matter how you feel it, that, hey, I understand it now, it wouldn't take you minutes to forget all the concept that I've just shown you. So feel free to reflect on what I've just said, what I've just shown you, and tell me whether you really understand this whole concept.
Can I go first?
Yeah, go ahead. Push it.
Hey, Samir. So, earlier when we discussed that the hash code will be changed every time we make some changes, right? So the code will only be updated. The code that's going to be updated, will it be only the origin one or any other master branches, like only the master branch or
We
any
have not talked about branches as yet. So don't confuse yourself with branches at all.
okay.
See, this is the same thing which I told Bhargav the other day, if you remember. Maybe you were not there, Kushi. For everybody else who was there, he sent a very nice documentation on DevOps. And my answer to that was, we are not ready to take DevOps specific questions as yet. You know why? Because I want you to go through this whole storytelling process, and I call it a storytelling process because I love to teach it in that particular way that it remains in your head. So if we try to do something which you've not even learned, you'll get lost. And that's the whole reason why I'm telling you don't talk about branches as yet, because we've not seen branches yet. You don't know. Imagine you don't know about branches. The only thing what you know is the master branch for now.
Yeah,
Make sense?
my question was okay. Okay, I understand now.
No, but go ahead and ask me a question thinking that you don't know about branches.
Then I'm done.
Okay. To answer your question, just still to answer your question, because it's a good question, is a commit hash is unique across branches. What I mean by that is a commit hash is generated based on a file change that you do. Okay. If I have a file with A written on it, and if I generate a commit SHA using a SHA program, it'll give me a commit, a unique ID. If you take a file and do the exact same thing on your machine, it will give you the exact same SHA ID. But it's not just, it's not as simple as that, right? Why am I saying it's not simple as that is because when you're working in a Git system or a version control system, you don't go and make those same file changes every single time. You're always evolving that file. Are you getting my point?
Right.
So given a single repository, your commit hashes will always be unique, and they have to be unique. The reason is you'll better understand this when I explain you the concept of cherry picking. Cherry picking, and just because I don't want to leave you questions unanswered, right? The reason is, I'll tell you the reason why. I'll give you a story too. Back in the school, when we would ask a question to the teacher would tell us, this question would be answered later. And many a times I felt that answer from the teacher was because she didn't want to answer that question, or she didn't have an answer to that question. I don't want to get into that situation. I know the answer to that question, and that's the reason why I want to make you feel comfortable about it, that the person that you're learning from really knows the facts. Okay. And I don't want to deny the privilege for you to ask questions. Okay. It's very important to ask questions. No question is a dumb question. If you don't ask question, you're dumb. If you ask question and somebody does not answer, that person is dumb. Okay, so let me attempt to answer this question very, very briefly so that others do not get confused who do not know about branches. If you have a commit hash done on a master branch, and so that commit hash basically carries some changes, right? Some change to one file or many files. If you go to a different branch and you want to bring in those changes from the master branch onto that branch, you can use a concept called as cherry picking. And when you do a cherry picking, you do a cherry picking using commit hashes. So you can pick a commit hash from master branch and you can cherry pick it and apply it to a different branch. So in short, the answer to your question is a commit hash will always be unique in that given repository. Make sense?
Yes, it does.
Good. Anybody else has any questions?
Can I go next?
Yep. Who is
So,
this? Tanmay?
yeah.
Yeah, Tanmay,
So
go ahead.
what happens if we do a commit on the same file like 2 times without pushing it?
You can't do, right? When you say commit on the same file, if you're making changes,
Yeah, first commit on the like if we suppose take a fifth
there'll be two commits.
documentation.
There'll
Yeah,
be two commits. So
yeah. Then
let's assume you have a file called first.txt. You go and make a change in that saying first. You do a git add and you do a git commit. That change has gone in as a commit now.
Yeah.
It's an immutable change.
Yes.
Then you again make a change to the first.txt and you add another statement called second in it.
Yeah.
And then you do a git add, and then you do a
Commit.
git commit. There'll be 2 commits now.
Yes.
There'll
So
not be
then
1
if-
commit.
Yeah, there will be 2 commits, and then if we try to push, then which commit it will consider? That's
Both, all the commits. Whatever,
Okay.
that's what I told you. Whatever commits are lying over here, irrespective whether it is being, that's why I told you the very important concept is don't think of commit as a file. Think of commit as a picture, a snapshot. At that moment in time, what picture you took, few minutes after that, if you take the picture of the same person, you cannot tell that I had taken already a picture, I'm going to delete everything else, I'm going to keep what is there. There's a concept called squashing, which we will talk eventually, where you can squash multiple commits into a single commit before pushing it to the remote. If you want to keep the remote clean. But most of the time, my philosophy is you push as you commit. You never want to modify your history. As soon as you get into the whole world of modifying the history, you corrupt everything for the people who are collaborating with you on that same repository. So I always warn people, I have not taught you those commands yet, but there is this reset, revert command and rebase command. Re. There's a concept called re also, okay? Nothing to do with these 3 commands. There's a re concept in Git. If you Google, you'll find it. But reset, revert, and rebase. I always warn people, do not ever use it unless and until you know what these 3 commands does. Okay? And these 3 commands have to do with changing the history of your commits.
Yes.
So you should never use it. If somebody in the interview comes and start acting smart and ask you this question, what it means is he's theoretically just read it. He's not spent a lot of time with Git. And I'm saying this on a recorded line. You can take it to whoever you think is a Git expert and walk him through that and tell him that I said this, irrespective, anywhere in the world. Those are very powerful, very important commands, but you should only use it when you feel comfortable using those commands. I use those commands. They're very important commands. But if you do not know how to use them, please don't use them. There are better ways to do it. Solve the same problem in a simple way.
Yeah.
Okay?
Got it.
All right. Anybody else has any questions? No?
One question.
Mhm.
So if you have 2 commits on the system, like if you have 2 commits ready to push,
Mhm.
and I wanted to commit, I wanted to push only the first commit I have done and not the second commit. Is there any command for that?
As far as I know, I never had a need for it. If I push something in the commit, I never had to remove any commit, but there is a way to remove the commit. Whether there's a command to push a commit, just choosing the commits that you want, I don't know. Can you remove a commit that you've already done in your local? Yes, there's a command to do that. And that is what I call as changing to the history. You can use the reset command. You can use the revert command if you want to keep a historical record. But do I encourage you to use it at the moment? No, I don't encourage you to use it.
Reset.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Any question? No? You guys understood everything I talked about?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Do you have appetite for more, or do you think we are done? I think we would need at least 2 or 3 more sessions just to cover up Git, because Git is such an important concept. I don't want to leave you guys, but at the same time, I have to be sensitive towards the fact that you have a long runway.
Right.
So do you want to spend some more time knowing Git, or do you think I don't want to bother you at the same time, right, with too many concepts, and then you don't remember anything at all. You want to learn about Git branch real quick?
I think we can go ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
So so there's this concept called Git branch in Git, okay? What is Git branch basically? So let's say I have, so right now I have done everything, right? Git status, there's nothing over here. And if I go here, there's nothing over here. So let's say I have just cloned this repository and I want to work on adding a new feature. I want to add a new feature in a very cool function, okay? But it'll take me a couple of hours to work on. So what I usually do is I will go ahead and create a new branch. Okay. The concept, the command is git branch. I usually do feature, let's say my name, shake. Okay. That's the feature I want to create. So that's the way you create a branch. So if I do a git branch, hopefully it should show me the feature shake branch over here. But it shows a star next to master, if you notice. But I want to go on to this branch. What I can do is I can do a git checkout feature / shake, enter. Now, if I do a git branch, you'll see the star is next to feature shake. So that means I'm on this feature branch. I'm not on master. I'm on this feature branch. Okay. What I will do is I will create a new file called awesome class. And this awesome class, I will create a function called awesome func. Okay. I'll do a git status. Yeah, it's there. I'll do a git add dot git commit -m. If I do a git push, what will happen? You want to see an error?
The branch.
What will just tell me? Yes.
The file will be pushed to the feature branch.
Who is this? Koshi?
No, Tanmay.
Tanmay. Okay. What is other guy saying? Rutvik. Who else is here? How many are there? 7 are there. Who all are there?
Yeah, somebody
Rutvik
produced
is there.
Bhargav.
Imran is there. Nikhil is there. Who else is there? Bhargav is also there.
Bhargav. Yeah.
Gosh, it's a big gathering, man. Welcome to the party. All right. Anybody else wants to make a guess what will happen when I click on push? Bhargav, you take a guess. You've been quiet.
Yeah, I think it will commit to the feature branch.
No. Here, see the error. It'll say the current branch feature shake has no upstream branch. The origin doesn't know about this branch. To push the current branch and set the remote as upstream, use this command. Okay, before I do this, I want to show you this. I want to go to that user, the second user, and do a git pull. And if I do a git branch, it doesn't show anything, right? There's only one branch because the remote doesn't have it. I did a git pull, I did a git branch, it's not there, okay? After I do this, I go to this guy. I do a git pull. I do a git branch. Why? Oh, git branch -a. Git branch only shows you the branch which is locally, okay? It shows you that there's a remote branch called feature shake. If you want to check that branch out, you can. So if there are 2 developers working on the same feature branch, what this guy will do is he'll do a git checkout feature / shake. Now, if we do a git branch over here, you would see that this second user also is on this branch, but I don't want to be on that branch. So I'll go back to my other branch, checkout master. This is another fundamental change that I would show you, okay? What I want you to notice is this guy locally added this awesome class over here, right? And this guy went to that other branch and I did a ls -lrt. That awesome class is here, right? This is where the fun begins. This is what actually was nirvana moment for me, or that aha moment to me, okay? Look at this class over here. And now I do a git checkout master. Just notice this class disappearing from here, okay? Saw that?
Yes.
Again, I'll show you, I'll go to checkout feature branch.
It will appear.
See? Now I'll go to the master. What that means is many a times what people, I have seen people who worked on SVN, what they do, you know, is they will clone this from remote repository multiple times. One for that feature branch, one for the master branch, one for the XYZ branch. What they do not know is when they check out, the whole file system changes for them to reflect what is there in that branch. So you don't really need to create multiple folders for each branch. People who are coming from the world of SVN, that's how they used to do. But with Git, this is another reason why it is a distributed system, is you have the whole remote thing on your local. So even if the remote crashes, you can create a new remote from your project. Do you want to see how to do that?
Yes.
No?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
So let's assume that this is crashed. Okay, that is crashed. Now you want to be able to create a new repository. So what I will do is I will go inside GitHub. I'll create a new repository. So let's call it as the same name, okay? I'll create a new name inside this. I'll create what is the command to create a new server?
-1 there.
Done. Created this. Since I've given it the same name, it'll be the exact same name as what it was, but just so that you do not think it's the same name, I want to call it as new. Where's the other folder? Okay, so this is the crashed version. This is the new version. Okay, what I will first do is show you what's happening over here. Let me make a small change to this one over here. I'll do a git add dot. And I want to do a git push, okay? What is it saying? Read it very carefully. Where is it trying to push?
My awesome remote.
Is it there now?
No.
It's not there, right? It says does not appear to be a Git repository, could not read from the repository. Make sure you have correct access right and the remote repository exists. We have access rights, but the repository does not exist anymore. Okay. Repository is crashed, right? I told you repository is crashed. The new repository that you've created is this. Okay. Now, if anybody clones from this repository, will any of those files which were there on this server be available over here? No, right? Because I just created it. So what I would do is I would go here because let's say, let's not say Samir Sheikh branch, but let's say this guy who was working on it, who has a master branch, he has everything. He has all the changes. And he, in fact, has all the changes. Okay. Remote crashed, but one of the developer has the latest changes. I want to push this latest changes so that everybody else can get it. Okay. Are you guys with me?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. So now I will be showing you a command to see what is the remote repo. The remote repo is my awesome remote. And the new one that we've created is my awesome remote new, correct? So what I will do is I will do a git remote set URL origin, that's the name, origin. And I will take this guy from here, minus new. Okay. And let's do something, let's see some error. What did it do? It pushed everything to the new remote. If you guys don't trust me, let's do one little thing over here. I want to bring that command, which was the clone command. If possible, I can get it. If not, I'll type it. Oh, there you go. No, not this one. Not this one. I thought, okay, anyway, let's write it. Git clone file ://
And the path.
and this path. New, remote new, right? Yeah. Zero three. This should be created. Where did it go? Where did I create it? Oh, I created it in my
Local
local
2, yeah.
02. Sorry. It's fine. I'll go back and rerun this command. 03 is here, right? Now, if I go to 03, see everything what was there has come back. Even though my remote crashed, I still have everything that I wanted. Are you guys with me?
Yes.
Yes.
What is the command minus? So if I wanted to push the feature branch also, I could have done it from the other guy. So that feature branch is lost, but I can always push everything that I wanted to push. All right. So branches, did you guys understand? Did you guys understand how if the remote crashes, we can take code from one of the developers and push it to the remote and regenerate the remote from ground up?
Yes.
And the branch missing is not a problem, okay? I did not mirror everything. I just pushed one branch that I was on. If I wanted to, I could have mirrored everything what I had. So even those branches would get pushed on the remote. But don't worry about it. It's possible. I've done it in the past and I know it's possible. Okay. Tired? Not yet?
No.
All right. So I want you guys to spend some time reading this book. It's a very boring book. Okay. Because there's a lot of things to read. You don't have to read page to page. Okay. You can quickly glance through and every command that I've said, right? You can see how that command is shown. One thing I want to show you before I finish today is if I do a git log, you see how it is showing Samir Sheikh, this email address over here. Okay. There's this command called git config global list. You see this user name and user email, what I have?
Yes,
It
yes,
is,
yeah.
it is here. This is the username and user email. So on your machine, if you've installed git fresh right now, what you want to do is you want to run this command, git commit, git config. I'll just add one over here, okay? And then I'll run the other command. You see that one is coming there in the name. And then the other command is
Email.
don't put my name in there, okay? That's just an example. Okay, and then you should be all set. That is how Git recognizes what your username is. When we go to GitHub and we create your GitHub account, you'll have to make sure that the username that you put over here and the username email that you put over here is the same email and username that you use on Git. Otherwise, it will not let you push anything to that repository. Cool?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
All right, good. Last thing before I wind up, git log. If you do a help, I don't know why it is opened up over here. It should technically opened up in the browser. So where did it save it? Okay, it saved it into some location, but I'm not going to worry about it, fixing it right now, opening that from Git from the browser. I would just do git log over here. It'll take me to this documentation. If you see here, right, this is a very good documentation. Like you can go through source. There are so many parameters which nobody ever will remember, basically. You can search for since what date, after what date, author, which author has done. You want to just check for the author out of 10 developers that are working. You want to know from a particular developer, it will show you only those commits when you do a git log. Okay, so this is a very, very nice thing. And down there, they should give you some examples actually. Okay, let's see if there are. Email. So the reason I'm showing you this is this is like a exhaustive, no documentation will ever cover all of this, but this is like the secret jewel. You can try and find out something. For example, if I just run git log right over here, it just gives me like this. What happens if I do a short log? It gives me a summary. See, Samir has done 7 commits, updated, 2 file committed, add committed. Things like this are such a nice things to know. There is a nice one actually that I used to use. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah. So git log 1 line graph. All. See that? See how it shows you like in 1 line, and then it'll color, decorated, so on and so forth. So if you don't want to read it this way, you want to read it this way, you can find. If you want to find it by a specific commit message, you'll be able to find. You want to find by a specific date, only after a specific date, you can find. So these are all nice things to learn. And where do you get it from? You get it from here. Or you'll Google and find it from Stack Overflow, which I don't feel is a great way to find. But this is where you should go to. They have given some examples. See, git log, no merges, show whole commit history, but skip any merges. If you have done merges from a different branch onto this, it's saying don't show me those merges. Okay, git log v2.do whatever shows all commits since version 2.6.12 that changed any file in, include SCI or include subdirectories. So this is another nice one. Git log since 2 weeks ago. Lovely. You can actually put keywords like this, 2 weeks ago. Shows the changes during the last 2 weeks to the git k.file, this file. Git log name status release ... test. Show the commits that are in the test branch, but not yet in the release branch, along with the list of paths. So what I want you to do is, even if you don't read everything else, I want you to look at these examples and try and understand if everything makes sense. If not, play with it. Play with those commands and see whether you understand what it does. If you don't understand, come back to me and I will try and answer your questions. Deal?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm going to stop sharing and I'll stop recording so that you can ask any questions you have.